At about 13 years old in 95, you're diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is very young, I believe, to be diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is a lifelong disease. It's like a severe inflammation related to irritable bowel syndrome, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And it can be life-threatening as well.
Yeah. I've had a few moments where I've had life-threatening operations.
How does that change the picture at 13 years old with that diagnosis, and what led up to that diagnosis?
Well, before the diagnosis, I'd got to, my teenage years where you kind of start to have changes, right? You're going through puberty. And I was definitely like a bit of a slow start. I was still, all the kids at school were getting bigger and I was getting smaller. Or I wasn't getting smaller, but they were getting bigger and I just basically wasn't really kind of growing at the same rate. And my mum started to take me to the hospital to get tests done to try and figure out, what was up with me, which I understand why my mum would do that. But at the same time, for a kid who feels like they don't belong, to then be taken to hospital to have tests done on me to figure out what's wrong with me, like suddenly I'm like, well, all right, I don't belong and I've got something wrong with me. I mean, this is, what is the point in me? Am I broken? Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, there clearly was issues, and they found that I had Crohn's disease. And I guess now I feel that's it's an incredibly good thing to have done. The problem was back then, there wasn't enough known about Crohn's as there is now.
Right.
The doctors understand it a lot more. They understand how to treat it, and people are a lot more open to it. Essentially, it's an illness that affects your bowels, which ultimately affects, shit. and how your body digests things, and that's not the sort of topics that are that easy to talk about, especially when you're a teenager going through your formative years.
Is there a lot of pain associated with Crohn's disease?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stomach cramps. I mean, if I don't take my medication I'm on at the moment, I can struggle to walk or to even get out of bed.
Really?
On a day. Yeah. It's like having a wound inside your tummy, and it's like an open wound, and every time you eat, it's like rubbing dirt into that open wound, so it's never going to heal. It's going to constantly keep getting infected, and it's going to constantly keep being inflamed. And because it's inside you, your gut affects every part of your body, so, and then it has side effects, which one of the side effects is reactive arthritis, which is what I suffer from, where if my Crohn's flares up, which can be brought on from simple things like just everyday stress, you don't have to just eat something for it to be bad. Like you can have a stressful day and it can, give you a stomach ache, which then can ultimately spread to the rest of your body and make you feel debilitated. And that, if you've got reactive arthritis, it means that all your joints start to seize up and ache. Hence why sometimes I struggle to walk and kind of function. And you kind of need your mobility to be a good magician. So for me, when that happens, it stops me from being able to perform the way that I've kind of grown to love.
And that will then have knock-on effects that are psychological.
Yeah, and every case of Crohn's is different. It affects people in different ways, but ultimately, yeah. Imagine having stomach ache just all the time, and being scared to eat because you don't want to, eat something and it wipe you out for the rest of the day.